The biggest problem with this disconnect from being able to have a conversation about this that's logical is every debate turns into a, hey, let me tell you about Gamergate. No, you're a misogynistic neckbeard that needs to be put in a gas chamber and I'm blocking you because you hurt my feelings. I mean, this is the crazy mentality that these anti-male individuals have. Let's promote traditional aspects of masculinity by pretending it's harmless. Let's glorify large beards because only real men have huge amounts of facial hair based on their level of testosterone. Let's make something seem harmless to give credit to a bunch of cis white men for no reason other than to uphold European beauty standard. This is as transparent as the people promoting it. It's the same as normcore, glorifying behaviors typical of people in white hegemonies. Take this real man and go elsewhere. Stop trying to make what white men like fashionable, thanks. So basically, maybe you should just stop reading these articles. Literally every article seems to be a combination of biased opinion and poor research. Almost like a group of teenagers who were asked to do a book report about something other than Twilight or Harry Potter or whatever is popular now over the weekend. Not only that, but discussion is heavily censored and regulated in comment sections of these sites, effectively giving the illusion that they aren't completely full of crap and creating an echo chamber. I'm no longer buying what they're selling. I don't even look at these websites anymore. If they send up an article that's obviously clickbait on Facebook or something, I condemn them for it and move along. And I think that's what everyone else should do too. Eventually, just by simply ignoring them, they may go away or change their policies for the better. It's funny how the name of a certain someone's thesis was "I'll make a man out of you," when the song was actually satirical and ironic, since Mulan was becoming a man by training like one. Thus, she was acquiring masculine attributes to become this sort of super soldier with the best of both worlds. Alternatively, this certain someone's goal is to eliminate masculinity and replace it with femininity, which she deems inferior by proxy, since masculinity is the power and the toxic and the damaging one. It's just a huge load of BS, isn't it? It all goes back to my first video where I mentioned the fact that the way feminists are fighting the patriarchy these days is actually to downgrade masculinity from this pedestal that they've put it on themselves into what they deem to be an even playing field with femininity, which apparently, from the way they describe it, is inferior to masculinity because masculinity is in power and femininity is not, which that's not exactly true. It doesn't make any sense when you analyze it deeper. But the point is, their goal is not to make femininity seem more important, it's to make masculinity seem less important, because it's cyclical logic, because when you do that, apparently the way they see it is that femininity will be even with masculinity because they've brought masculinity down, when they should be raising femininity up to the level of masculinity that they have prescribed it, even though it doesn't have that level that they're saying it does. You should see what I'm saying. You kind of get it. You're understanding my point of view here. They're making the dichotomy that they have created relevant by trying to fight the dichotomy. The situation is sort of like the Emperor's new clothes. Only instead of everyone realizing that the Emperor is naked and laughing at him, the self-esteem team comes flying in out of nowhere and tells everyone to stop laughing and naked shaming him and let him believe what he has clothes on after all, if he believes he does, because it's his right to imagine that he has clothes. The people saying that white people don't deserve to talk because they don't have the privilege are white people in the middle class or even higher, and by their own admission they don't have the right to talk, or they don't have the right to an opinion. It's just like when Anita said something along the lines of, I've been playing games for years and other women have been playing games for years, and it's time to finally say that, just something about breaking up the boys club. Anyway, the point is, when she said that, she revealed the biggest weakness in her logic ever. Her entire shtick, her entire concept, her entire goal with this entire video series and the line of arguments and everything is that video games make people sexist. Video games make men sexist because they contain images of women that are not to her liking. In saying that, in saying video games make people sexist, there is no question about it, which is pretty much what she has said repeatedly. Then admitting that she has played games for years and that many women have played games for years,
Did she not inadvertently admit that she must be a sexist based on her own broken logic? And that all the women that play video games are also sexist based on their own broken logic? If she's not willing to admit that that's what she said, then her entire argument is completely debunked by her own admission. Because if she's not sexist for playing sexist video games, then no one else can be sexist either. Because video games do not cause sexism. That's just my take on it. The idea that women's roles in games are as subservient prizes is valid, but claiming that it is in most games is verifiably false. If you claim that all women in games are there solely to cater to male fantasies, then you are making two bold claims in one. First, that only males play video games and thus the developers are catering to them. And second, that women in video games are never relevant or good representations and role models. Of course, both of these claims are proven to be false by critical analysis. I listed numerous positive female protagonists and supporting characters in my first video, only a fraction of the actual ones available, and showed proof that games are also marketed towards women in my second via sexual and personality exploitations of men that women find attractive. And that's not to say that I don't get plenty of privilege for being attractive myself.